So many people waiting for us. Don't put them. Oh, it's not me, isn't it?
Are we live?
Are we live? Well, you've got the deck. How am I supposed to know?
Yeah, we're live.
We're live. So
I was called mimicking you.
Oh, you're mimicking. Okay,
Yeah,
right. I see
that's
what
what
you
you
I
say
see
every
what
time we
this is.
go live.
No, but that's my job. I'm supposed to question, reality. Are you seriously waving yourself?
Oh, I just cut to the. I was stupid. I cut to the splash screen.
You cut to the
Not
splash
to
screen.
me. See, this is what happens when I can't look at what I'm doing.
It's right there.
Yeah, but I'm trying not to look at what I'm doing.
It's okay, man. It's not that professional.
So I did better than you last week.
Hey, I did a great job, okay? People didn't even realize you weren't there.
Yeah, they did.
Some
Because
people,
I told them.
some people were like, "Listen, Usman, you're doing such a good job. Maybe you don't need Alex." And in my head, I'm thinking, "You have no idea."
I was just imagining the swan legs pedaling underneath.
Yeah, I was just like, "Oh my god, this is what it feels like to be a one-man band." And Ray's just sat there, just comfortable, chilling. Anyway, let's get on with this show. That's a different show. Welcome back to the live stream that we're trying to do every couple of weeks, and this is our. I think we just sit here and complain, don't we? We just smoke cigars and complain. Yeah, that's
Sort of.
basically the live stream. We're going to sit here and complain for a little while and talk about things that we enjoy and we don't
Day
enjoy.
in the life, really.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. Day in the life of...
Sit and complain in our chairs. Don't think we're old enough yet, but I certainly feel it.
Well, we're not smoking pipes yet. I think when we get to that stage...
You've got one.
I've got 3.
You've got 3.
No, I've got 4.
Did you really want to admit that?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they were all sent to me.
Sure.
So I didn't buy them. So technically, I'm not there yet.
Right.
But this company called Mr. Brog, they sent me a actual Gandalf type pipe. I'm not kidding.
Oh, the one that's like 3 feet long.
Yeah. Genuinely like that long. Like I got to hold it down here. It looks amazing. It comes in like a really fancy case and whatever. And I was like, what the hell? But yeah, before we get into the subject, let's get on with our lighting and cutting rituals. What are you smoking?
Flor de Caña Magicos.
I don't think anyone in our audience knows what that is. I'm smoking
It's
the...
from Spain,
yeah.
but it's not from Spain.
No, it's a Cuban cigar, but it's a Spanish regional edition. And I'm smoking I don't know. It's a mystery cigar. So I got it from Cigars. Every month they have a Cuban subscription, and one of them is a mystery smoke.
Wrong channel.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying though, we're still gonna smoke them, so I might as well tell them. But yeah, this is, I think I know what it is though. I think it's the Ramon Allones Ramon Allones specially selected. You can tell by the smell. You can't. Have you broken that wrapper?
Well, they came from you, so
Don't blame me. You did that.
who knows what happens to things when...
Oh, you're gonna blame me, huh?
Yeah.
Shut up, man. That was definitely you.
No. So
Yeah, today's subject, we're going to be talking about some of the silly things that photographers believe, because I feel like a lot of photographers tend to be quite superstitious. Can't talk at the moment.
really, really stitious.
Yeah, really stitious. And some of the things that they believe I just find a little odd, especially when they've been genuinely debunked to a point where you can't even argue it, but they still. It's almost like flat earthers to some extent. I mean, it's not as bad as that.
No,
I mean,
it's not as
I'm
bad as that.
exaggerating,
It's a
obviously.
bit mean.
That's really mean, I know. But some of the beliefs, though, I mean, God. Let's do our weekly mention or bi-weekly mention of Tony Northam. He smokes cigars too.
Hey, Tony! Hi!
He's not watching.
No,
We should probably get him on the show. Really
we
piss
should.
off. Yeah, really piss off people then. Because for some reason, people do not. I don't know why. There's like a small bunch of people. That
Yeah,
don't like him.
yeah, he seems to be a bit of a weirdly Marmite figure for some
Yeah.
people, and I don't really understand it.
But he doesn't even say anything bad generally. He just talks about camera. Well, I guess he's talking about cameras. That's why. So yeah.
Fanboys was the last video.
Mm,
We've done that one.
specially selected, definitely. So yeah. Some of the things, man. My favorite one, UV filters. This one's been beaten to death. It's been beaten to death, but no matter how many times, people still believe it. I mean, remember, you recently broke one of your lenses, right? Imagine if you had a UV filter on it. I think that would have protected it.
Yeah, so story of this, I put the lens on the tripod or so I thought. Sorry, lens and camera on the tripod or so I thought. And yeah, then the lens and camera were on the floor. And the lens was two lenses. Neither of which were very good. None of the glass broke though.
Could a UV filter
So
have
if
protected
I'd had a
it?
UV filter on the front, yeah, it would have saved it. Would have been perfect.
Definitely, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
I think the misconception is that a lot of people believe that the glass inside lenses are really weak. But they're not.
They're a lot stronger than the pilly little
Yes.
UV filter on the front.
They're definitely, I mean, they're hundreds of times stronger than the thin, tiny sheet of
Hundreds
glass.
of times thicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like ridiculously thicker. They've been hardened to a point where they're not going to break when you just drop them. The glass anyway. The metal, the barrel might snap because there's weak points across the lens, right? You've got the focus ring, you've got the manual focus ring, you've got segments which have been attached together.
Yeah.
So you've got weak points across the lens. That can break.
I have broken several lenses. I'm not going to say the number.
How many?
I don't know. Or rather, less broken several lenses, more broken one of three lenses many times. But never has the glass ever broken. And we're talking serious, like that one, the lens snapped in half. It was
Yeah.
24-70-2.8. Right? Built like a
How
tank.
how does your boss not just walk up to you and just punch you in the arm? Like why?
Because they chose not to insure their equipment. That's why.
They didn't insure it?
No.
What?
So it had a D4 attached to it.
Why didn't they insure it?
Apparently it's more costly for them to insure it
Than it is to.
than it is to repair it, yeah. I don't know. I'm not
It
getting into
might be in the long term
Maybe.
because that's how insurance companies make money,
Maybe, yeah.
right? That's literally how
I
insurance
mean,
companies
yeah,
make money.
insurance is a net loss game, right, for the consumer.
Yeah.
No, so it fell on the floor with a D4 attached to it, so significant weight. And yeah, whole thing snapped in half at the junction of two of the segments of lens.
Yeah, but now you've got a DA50, so maybe you should be happy about that.
Well, yeah, I've also got a 12 to 35, two of them.
But is that the reason why
but
you got the
the-
DA50?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
That's another
maybe
story.
that was a good thing.
Well, I want the D4 back as well, but there we go. But yeah, so I've had impact damage from many, many lenses. 9 times out of 10, it's one of the focusing track things that, one of the internal tracks that bends.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's not even an issue. It just makes it hard to move.
Focus the ring.
Like
Yeah.
my
yeah.
14-24, I've got to really yank it round, but it's fine.
But
Or
generally
sometimes it moves the lens out of alignment a bit. Moves an element out of alignment.
yeah, knocks and bumps generally move alignment. You generally have alignment issues
Yeah.
with lenses as opposed to lenses, the glass smashing. I think people
Yeah.
look at lenses and think it's like a glass bottle or something.
Yeah.
It's not.
No.
No, it's,
The lenses are surrounded by crap tons of metal or plastic.
Yeah, exactly.
Things
But
that
even if you discount the metal and plastic, the actual elements themselves are significantly stronger than any filter
Well, I'd
that you can
imagine.
purchase.
I don't know exactly how they're made, but
They're made of hardened glass.
yeah, I was gonna say,
Literally
I'd
of
imagine
hardened
they've
glass.
been tempered in some way to
Precisely, yeah.
withstand temperature changes and things. Otherwise, they'd just move about all the time. And,
Mm.
Yeah. Don't quote me on this, but you know. But yeah,
I think if they were, yeah, you're right, because temperature changes does affect glass, and if you have if your glass is being affected, then what's wrong?
nothing.
What are you looking at?
I just thought I could see something on the edge of my frame. I think it's just a ripple in the fabric.
It's smoke.
No.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry.
Anyway, yeah, you know, if temperature changes, because you've got a certain limit in terms of how you've got temperature ranges of where you can use lenses, right? If it's too cold, then they recommend against using it in those environments. If it's too hot, they recommend against using it in certain environments, right?
Mhm.
But within that range, if the glass wasn't tempered or adjusted or, you know, manufactured in a particular way, even normal glass would still shift a little, and those slight minor shifts would cause issues with focusing
Yep.
or sharpness or chromatic aberrations or so many other factors that would cause issues. So the glass has to be produced in a manner which it can handle those environmental issues. So the glass itself, obviously far stronger than any UV filter that's currently in production.
Mhm.
Because how thin is a UV filter? No matter what strength UV filter you get, even those Sigma protection lenses, which are like what 1,000 times stronger than UV filters, they're still ridiculously thin sheets of glass.
Because otherwise you just get vignetting.
Precisely.
Because you're putting some kind of tube on the
Yeah. And they want to make, I mean, because UV filter manufacturers have a balance between producing something which is going to filter UV and also not affect image quality.
And be affordable.
Yes. Now, if you're going to produce something which is not going to affect image quality, you can't put a big chunk of glass on the front to try and protect the front element.
Because you'll just get refraction.
Exactly.
You'll get rainbows all over you.
Precisely. I mean, most UV filters tend to cause some degree of reflections anyway.
Yeah.
But that's a mini.
But to avoid that, you've got to start making, optics out of them. And
Precisely, yeah.
It's just
So that's not what they're for. And the fact that photographers believe that UV filters can protect against impact damage is freaking nuts.
like, okay.
It's genuine. Like, how are
they
you?
could protect against a light impact on the front of the lens,
Yeah,
perhaps from a small hammer.
but that wouldn't have caused any damage in the first place.
Well, it might have got a scratch, but
No, really, you wouldn't. This guy did a
front of my lens is beta data.
Okay, so whatever caused damage to the front of the front element, it would have gone through the UV filter anyway.
Right.
Because this guy did a test, right? And he found that on YouTube, so he went through like a whole bunch. I forgot his name, but it's like an old school YouTube video. One of them really.
Right.
And I actually linked it in the article that I wrote on Petapixel, and he went through a whole process of testing UV filters, and at the end of it, he just got tired. He didn't get tired. At the end of it, he just resorted to getting a sheet of paper, and the paper was more effective at protecting the front element of the lens, a thin sheet of paper, than the actual UV filter. And I was like, oh, okay, right, we're at that stage now.
I mean, to be fair, I can understand why you'd think that it does something, right? Because you've got something in front of something else. It has to absorb some energy somewhere.
It does,
And it does.
yeah, but
Not enough.
negligible.
No.
The
But I can understand, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to completely dick on people here.
oh, I am.
I know you are. But I do get why, because I used to think this as well. I used to think that perhaps if you've got a UV filter on and you get, so you get an impact sort of that way on the front of your lens, that would, the UV filter would break, but would take that energy of being sort of squished and not let that energy transfer into the elements. But of course, the elements are floating anyway, so
Yeah.
that wouldn't have happened.
And also when
Maybe on the front element, but that's basically a filter anyway.
when you say that out loud, come on, yeah.
But I didn't.
But I see
didn't
why.
know enough about how lenses was.
Yeah, but I see how beginners would assume that, because they'll go into store, and there'll be a sales clerk there, and they'll be like, "Oh, you've just bought a new lens? Great. You need a UV filter. Why? Because it protects your lens." They don't go into detail about
And you just spent God knows how much on the lens.
Precisely. So in your head, you're like, "Oh yeah, no," and then they call it cheap insurance. It's like, no, it's not cheap insurance. Insurance is insurance. There's no way around insurance. And as soon as you have that, as soon as you bought that first lens, that first camera, and the sales agent or clerk or whatever they're called tells you, "Oh, you need this, it'll protect your lens," they never clarify precisely what the protection is for. They just say it will protect your lens. From what? UV filters. Okay, but do digital sensors require UV filtration?
Absolutely not.
No, not even the slightest.
No.
So what is it protecting for? Impact damage? No.
You can't even say it's protecting your eyes from UV because that's in the eyepiece anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
But to be clear, it does protect your lens from some things.
Dust,
Potentially.
potentially.
Because some lenses it will just go round.
Yeah, some UV filters on, for example, the X100. It's not the X100V isn't considered weather sealed unless you've got the UV filter attached to it.
Right.
So once you attach the UV filter, then it's considered weather sealed. Otherwise,
like my 2470, for instance, that whole front piece moves in and out, so there's no hole behind the UV filter. It's all around the edge.
Yeah.
So it doesn't do anything.
Yeah. So,
but
UV filters do offer some protection from water spots, because water hitting the front element far too frequently could affect some of the coatings.
Yeah, and that's just it. It's the coatings on that front element that we're really thinking of here, isn't it? All these bits of dust or regular clean, dust is dust, right? You can clean dust off, but the more you clean it off, the more you're going to rub things off.
Yeah.
You're going to lose that coating because you will. That's just abrasion. That's what happens.
Yeah. But the amount of time it takes.
That, but yeah, the amount of time it takes is a long time.
It's a long time.
Even if you did want, if you did want to protect that, fine. You'd still have to replace your UV filter every so often.
Yeah.
And if you cared that much about it, then you probably are someone who cares about the top level image quality, which means you'd have to spend so much on a UV filter, a good one, to make it a good image, that you might as well just replace your front element anyway, which is basically a clear piece of glass.
Yeah. Effectively, yeah.
You might as well pay the same thing.
The coating argument I get, but with regular cleaning, losing the front element coatings, it take like more than a decade.
It depends how well you clean your lenses.
To be fair, I don't actually clean my lenses very often.
I mean, if you're like me and sometimes you've got stuff on your lens and you've got to shoot, and you're not going to go back to your car and get all your cleaning supplies out. You've got you've got a chamois leather, which is what I keep. You've got a chamois leather and you wipe it clean.
No.
But that's the reality of a working snapper
true.
sometimes.
To be fair, I have done the t-shirt.
So have I.
Easy, yeah.
But so TV cameramen, for instance, and that's where I adopted this from.
You could just see them, wiping the lens.
But this is where I adopted it from. TV cameramen, standard piece of kit is chamois leather. Excellent at getting away water, but also picks up all the dust. Like sort of, you kind of absorb it into the leather.
Yeah.
So you don't scrape it around.
Yeah.
It's actually really good. £5 for a sheet of it that's far too big. So buy it, cut it up.
Yeah. I do think that UV filters have some place, but it's highly exaggerated in terms of what place it has in the photography industry.
Yeah,
and I mean, I went and I literally had a conversation with almost every UV filter manufacturer, and every single one of them, a couple of them just looked at me like I was the crazy one for asking the question. I'm not even kidding. A couple of them looked at me like, what are you on about? Like, it's a thin piece of glass. How is it going to protect anything? Like, they were looking at me like that's a stupid question. But the reason I was asking was not because I'm just throwing a stupid question at manufacturers and wasting their marketing division's time. It's because this is what a lot of photographers believe. So I wanted to get the information directly from the source, from the people who actually make the stuff. And if they're, in some sense, laughing me out of the door, then obviously it's nonsense to assume that UV filters are going to offer any degree of physical protection or impact damage protection. And all of them confirmed, no.
Yeah.
No filters are designed for impact damage. And I even spoke to Sigma quite thoroughly. So I've got a good relationship with Sigma.
You look at me, I've got a good relationship, you see? I
didn't mean it like that. I meant it like I can have a conversation with them and it can be like an open conversation. It's going to be, they're not going to just give me the marketing spiel. They're going to talk to me properly about things. And I had a proper conversation with them and I spoke to them about their protection filters. And I said, yeah, but these are protection filters. Surely they should offer some degree of impact damage. And they're like, nope, not at all. So I'm like, what are they for? Dust, scratches. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, so your protection filters, which you advertise as being X thousand times, I'm probably getting numbers wrong, but many times stronger and more effective than standard UV filters. They too are not designed for impact protection, because no, not at all. That's not what we made them for. They're made for dust and scratches, some level of debris protection, but debris protection isn't like, you're not going to get a ball bearing and think, oh yeah, that's going to be fine.
I mean, if you've got ball bearings coming at you,
then yeah, you've got bigger problems.
You're stood in the wrong place.
Yeah, you've got...
Well, you're not wearing your blue flat jacket.
Yeah. But this notion that it can offer any degree of impact protection, complete and utter nonsense of the highest order. What are you doing to your cigar?
Nothing. I'm just tipping some ash out of my holder. My rest.
I swear I thought you said something else there. I thought you said I'm tipping the ash out of my hole. I was like, what? That's what I heard. There's a group called Ash Holes, right?
Yeah. Anyway, so flip this around then. Impact protection. What do we use? Neoprene thingies that go around your camera. I mean, I hate them because I've got tiny baby hands and I can't grip the camera. Some people actually put them on because they've got massive man hands.
What about?
But
I mean, lens hoods. Most people tend to use lens hoods.
That's the other one.
Because it's a good way to just protect the front element.
The amount of times I've used my lens. Well, my 7200 lens hood is epoxied on because the little bayonet piece on the actual lens itself, not even on the hood.
But lens hoods are great because it gives some distance between the front element and anything that could be hitting it. I mean, if it's something small and it's going to go through. But
yeah, but the lens can't hit a wall.
Yeah. That is useful.
It's also made of plastic or at least bendy metal usually. Yeah. So if it hits something sideways, it'll bounce.
Exactly.
And that's basically the crux of impact protection. Make it soft.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
precisely.
You got lens hoods, you got coverings.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot
coverings are still a little bit. They offer some protection.
They're going to do something.
Yeah, but
they're not going to do
a lot more than UV filters. But yeah.
I mean, those sort of silicone covers that people put on.
They're pretty decent, I've heard.
But
decent, not actually.
But they're a bit like phone cases in that you get dust underneath them. So all that pocket lint that's stupidly hard. What's the guy with Jerry Rig Everything? The guy who tests the phones with his picks. Like he was saying that pocket lint can have all sorts of stuff that's ridiculously hard in it somehow. Yeah. So that kind of stuff gets caught underneath those.
Because your keys are in there, and if
but so not.
No, I mean like
not in the case
bits
of the camera,
coming off the key,
but all that dust gets caught underneath your silicone case thing and scratches away at it all if you care about that. Yeah. If you care about scratches and stuff, what a lot of people do they'll get some gaffer and tape it up. Yeah. Which is fine.
Well, gaffer tape is a lot of working. If you're a working professional, gaffer tape is your best friend. Yeah. Just put anything
gaffer
everywhere.
Tape, not duct tape. Yeah.
Yes. That's the key. Yeah. No, you got to use
the fluorescent yellow one if you want, but not duct tape.
No, please don't use duct tape.
Duct tape your camera. Just don't. I mean, I've done it because of necessity, but...
Yeah. What's happened? Paint peel off?
No. Part peel off. Actually, it was Gorilla Tape, not duct tape.
Oh, that's even worse.
Well, yeah.
Is it?
Gorilla Tape has a... Anyway, Adam Savage did a whole video on this. Go and watch that.
Is it the same thing?
No. Gorilla Tape is a slightly different class to duct tape.
Better? Worse?
Different. It's a lot grabbier.
Okay.
A lot thicker as well.
So don't put that on your camera then?
Depends what you want it for. you need to hold stuff together, then yeah, put it on your camera.
Fair enough.
Because that's not what ooh, I shouldn't really do that, should I? Sorry.
Leave the mic alone.
Patting it better doesn't help.
No.
Yeah, duct tape. Gaffer tape isn't the strongest in terms of holding stuff together. It'll hold flat things down.
Yeah.
But, you know.
You're not the strongest, no, but it's quite useful in a lot of areas.
But yeah. So my colleague, if he gets a new camera, he tapes it up in thin gaffer.
Mm.
It's fine.
Yeah.
You know, if you're looking to resell it and you don't want scratches on it, why not?
I think that a lot of...
It's a lot of effort though.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever been overly concerned about my camera equipment or how well they've been. I'm going to be honest with you. It's the last thing on my mind in general when I'm working. Because I just want the tools that I'm using to just do the job that I wanted to do, and that's it.
Yep.
And for anything else, there's insurance. So I really haven't got time to be messing about with, you know, oh, is my lens going to get scratched, or is this going to happen, or is that going to happen? I just need to get on with the job.
Yep.
And UV filters, I don't know, I just find them a bit fiddly.
And don't get me wrong, or don't get us wrong. You need to try and protect your gear.
Of course. You're not going to be irresponsible.
Don't misuse the thing that makes you your living.
No, precisely.
Or makes you your hobby, even or you've spent tons of money on.
Exactly. I'm not trying to suggest that I'm irresponsible with my equipment in any way, shape, or form. No, I'm carrying them in bags which have been designed for photography equipment, and you know they're gonna protect my lenses and my cameras as effectively as possible. What I'm shooting, everything that I'm shooting, tightly clamped down. Tripods are going to be effective as well. You know,
Yeah.
using proper tripods that can manage the weight effectively and far more than that. What are you laughing at?
Because my camera fell off a tripod.
Yeah, I know.
Even though it was perfectly suited to the weight. I
But
just
you
didn't
weren't
put it
paying
on
attention.
properly.
Yeah, I wasn't making fun of you there, but I'm
No,
just
I know,
saying.
I know.
I'm just saying.
We've
you
got
know,
a question, by the way.
Do we have a
We have a
question?
question.
We have a question.
And 3 whole viewers.
Oh,
Patrick Stalanshayak. Sorry, I butchered your name. Patrick. Hello, Patrick. Hi, everyone from Paris. Hi, everyone from Paris, or just hello from... Are you just
I'm
talking to the
assuming
people
it's a
of Paris,
second language.
or-
Can you just shut up and get on with it?
Hi, everyone from Paris. Very interesting. How about the specific filters like UV ones, which are supposed to protect the lens against ultraviolet rays? Is this protection really effective and necessary?
Someone
So
did a
we've
full.
touched on this, but
Yeah, but if we're going to go into detail, someone wrote a full, highly detailed article, and there are plenty of videos on YouTube as well. I'm not going to be making a video about this because honestly, it doesn't interest me as a subject.
and it's done to death.
Yeah, it's been done to death. There's no impact. There's no difference. Literally, UV filters have no impact on image quality when it comes to UV light. Does nothing at all because the sensor is already filtering all of that UV light out anyway. We're not shooting on film anymore. If you're shooting on film, however,
That's a different...
then you might need UV filter. You might need a UV filter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably advisable to have a UV filter when you're shooting with film. Any kind
Especially
of...
if you're shooting big landscapes.
Yeah.
Shooting
Especially.
indoors probably won't make much difference.
No. If you're shooting indoors, if you're shooting portraits with flash, probably not. Even if you're outside, portraits with flash, probably not an issue too much. However, if you're shooting landscapes, if you're shooting architecture like I do, if you're using film, you will likely need a UV filter.
Otherwise you get bright skies, don't you?
Oh, it looks horrible.
Yeah.
It looks horrible. So film, yes. Large format, small format, whatever you're shooting, you probably need a UV filter for that.
Yep.
But other than that, no. If you're shooting digital, it makes no difference.
Great, that's really instructive. Thanks a lot. Sorry if you're English. Your English is fine, mate. It's probably better than mine.
I told you, you're being an asshole about, commas. Oh my gosh.
No,
That's how one swear.
I've just got terrible jokes.
Yeah.
No worries, Patrick.
Patrick, thank you for joining our live stream. Appreciate you
Ooh,
coming.
5 people now.
Oh, amazing. Okay, we've got 5 people and we've got questions as well.
One of them's you.
Is it? Oh, yeah, I guess it is. Yeah, because I've got it over here so I can look at the comments. Another thing a lot of people love talking about, this is something that tends to get a lot of people. So, UV filters, I think that's the one thing that a lot of people get really annoyed about in general. But the other thing that seemingly has been, done to death as well, and people still bring this up, is lens compression.
Right.
there's no such thing as lens compression. It's impossible for the focal length to change physics
Yeah,
of perspective.
but it's I think the term lens compression is
It's a lazy.
it's a shortening of a much more complicated idea,
Yeah. But
which I'm kind of fine with.
I'll tell you why I'm
be
not fine
honest.
with it. I'll tell you why I'm not fine with it. It's an extremely lazy way of teaching how perspective works. And it leaves people... So this is the kind of information that when you go into a studio, people who run the studios, they will generally... Because when I started, I started by learning from the studios, and they will teach this method of compression. They'll tell you that the longer focal length you shoot, the more compressed the image is. Now, the reason why that is a terrible way of teaching is because it only applies to one very specific kind of photography in general. Portraits, if you're shooting a single subject. If you're photographing a single subject, then it applies. But if you're shooting a landscape, utterly useless information. If you're shooting...
Why?
Because if you're shooting a landscape, you don't have one subject in the frame. You've got multiple subjects.
Sure, but I think...
Let me finish.
Okay.
Mountains far away, 2 miles away, or miles away, they're going to be compressed. The landscape in front of you is going to be less compressed. So you've got a much bigger subject. You haven't got a subject which appears in one plane of focus.
Yeah.
So because of that...
That's the point of compressing it.
Yeah, but you're going to have certain elements in that frame which is compressed and certain elements which aren't compressed or as compressed.
But that's, again, the point of...
That's what I'm saying. But if you teach it correctly, then people understand that, okay, your focal length isn't going to change the perspective. You can sit there and be like,
Yeah,
okay.
your perspective changes the perspective.
Yeah.
i.e. where you are.
Yeah.
So this is what people say. Like, people say it's about focal length. It's not. It's about the focal length. Well, they say it's about focal length because that's what you end up using because of the actual cause, which is how far away you are.
Precisely.
Yeah. So it's distance that changes compression, or field of view, as we should really say.
Field of view changes.
Yeah.
In a sense, yeah.
So the fact that your focal length changes compression is because you're using a different lens because of where you are.
Yeah.
If you want more compression, you move backwards and use a longer lens because
Exactly.
you're further away.
But I've actually heard people say stuff like, well, medium format, because they've got longer focal lengths, they have more compression in the image. It's like, no, that's not how compression works.
No.
But this is what I mean. The misconception or the way that people have been teaching about lens compression has kind of crept into that. Because now people think that, oh, because you're using a larger sensor, you need a longer focal length. And because you're using longer focal length, it's going to be more compressed. It's like, how? That's impossible.
Yeah. Things get a bit weird really close up, but otherwise, yeah.
But that's with even our eyes, right?
Mm-hmm.
When someone's really close to you, it's going to be less compressed
The
than
best
someone's
way I've
really
tried to
far.
describe this to someone before, I hope I'm not telling everyone to suck eggs here, but if you don't understand what this is, get in a car as a passenger or on a train or something moving, and you see the things far away, and they don't look like they're moving very fast, and you see the things close to you, and they are moving very fast.
Yeah.
That's compression. That is field of view, right?
Yeah. Precisely.
In practice, because the things further away look like they're essentially bigger because they're not moving. But if you look at the whole scene,
A lot of elements. Yeah, yeah. You're obviously traveling, so
the
relative
things closer
to
to you move more.
Precisely.
Effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's essentially it. And I think the reason why this has continued on for so long is because it's so easy to take a series of images of a subject, turn into a GIF, and put the focal length in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's so easy. It's such an easy way to kind of just demonstrate something.
Whereas it should
But-
be the distance, not the
Yeah.
focal length.
The focal length shouldn't be there. It should be the distance plus the focal length. And I think that's what's making a lot of people think, oh yeah, longer focal length.
This is all. The whole subject of compression has to be talked about in relativity, because it is a relative, not measurement, but relative quality, right?
Yeah. Because a 50mm on an APS-C camera is not going to be a 50mm on a large format camera. So on a large format camera, you're going to be like this close.
Yeah. So when people are talking about compression, it's when they talk about focal length in regards to compression, it's the focal length you need
To achieve a
the
particular...
subject size
Yeah.
for a given compression.
Yeah. Basically. And I think that because it's a little bit more complex, it's less effective to teach in that way.
But I'm actually, I kind of think I was going to say I'm fine with the term lens compression being a shorthand of that. But actually, no, I've just changed my mind about that. Image compression,
Yeah.
I would say, is a better term
It's a far better term.
because it's not really the lens. It's
No. The lens has literally nothing to do with it.
well, yeah.
No, it doesn't.
It's got
because
to do with how you achieve that look. But
yeah, I mean, you can shoot with a 24mm and just crop in.
yeah,
Your depth of field might be different, but your compression will be the same.
you've got no pixels to do it with,
Well, now you do. You've got a
Yeah.
D850 now.
which I have to shoot medium or small.
Listen, just get a 17mm, you'll be fine. You're going to crop into everything
While
anyway.
my 2470's been in the shop getting fixed, I've basically been using my 1424 all the time and cropping it because I haven't had a choice. I'm using a 50 for a bit, but
So your 24mm is equivalent to your 70mm now, because you just crop into everything.
yeah.
Does the D850 have a crop mode? It doesn't have a crop mode, does it?
Yeah, it's got a DX crop or...
Yeah, DX mode.
Yeah,
Oh, great. Just shoot with that.
but why? I just
Because you need extra depth of field in most
do
cases.
it in post.
Because it's a lot quicker.
Yeah, but then I can not do it in post if I decide not to do it in post.
Do you have a button that you can just press and thing?
I mean, I've got it assigned.
Yeah.
I can press and twizzle,
Okay.
but I'd rather just do it in post.
I'm gonna be-
They're
I'm go-
going to be going through an edit anyway.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm going to be one of those Sony fanboys for a second and be like, ooh, I'm a Sony. I just press the button. It just goes in and out.
Yep. Whereas I've also got to use my thumb.
I got to say, Sony did do one great thing with the
One.
Yeah. Okay, there's not a lot of great things, but one really useful feature in the A7R3 and upwards, you can assign the APS-C mode to a button.
Right.
And when you press the button, it just crops in. It doesn't go into the menu. Doesn't go into the menu. You don't need to select anything. You just press the button and it goes into crop mode. You press the button again, it goes into full frame mode.
Right.
Easy. That has been one of the most useful things I have ever had on any camera. It's made lots of things much easier in so many areas. Because for video, 4K is 4K.
Yep.
So if you're cropping in to a smaller portion of the sensor, but you're still shooting 4K, it makes no difference to the actual output
Yeah.
resolution. So for video, it's great.
Yeah, I use that's actually the biggest area where I use crop modes is video.
Mm.
Partly so I don't have to change lenses, because if I need a longer lens than a 2470, then I've got to get a 7200 out
Precisely.
and then change where the camera's mounted and all sorts of stuff.
No, exactly.
And it also means just in the middle of an interview I could just go boop,
Yeah, exactly.
or sorry.
Oh, don't do that. You went really dark there as well.
But that's the thing, you don't need to move your subject.
Precisely, yeah. So if I tend to use two lenses with my Sony, the 28mm and the 55mm. I love those two
Two
lenses.
lenses on your Sony, that's clever.
Not at the same time,
Oh.
but those are the two.
Look at old TLR.
Those
Why
are my.
doesn't someone make a digital TLR?
But those are my two go-to lenses for video, because with the 28mm, when you crop in, it's basically a 40mm. So I've got a 28, a 40mm, a 55, and a 75mm, with two lenses. And if I want to crop in even further, it does affect the focus system a little bit, so I tend not to use it too much. But you could go into like my almost micro four thirds, so you could go to like 110mm. So you've got a huge range of focal lengths in video. I think we've gone off the topic a bit.
Yep.
But I love that. I love that about Sony. They've done that really, really well. And I hope that, I don't know if Canon has that feature. I don't think it does. None of my Canons do anyway.
Nikon does if you use a wheel as well as I can press a button and spin the wheel. So
Oh, you can do that. So you can just zoom in.
it takes 2 fingers as opposed to 1, but yeah.
That's still better than Canon.
Yeah.
From the
Well, I
looks
don't
of
know
it.
if I have to stop recording. think I've got to stop recording.
No, certainly you have to stop recording.
Okay.
Because it's cropping into the sensor, so you got to stop. You got to pick the the field of view that you want before you start recording.
It does have other crop modes. I can probably crop in further. I just haven't. Yeah. So back to things, silly things.
Silly things that photographers believe. What else is there? Lens compression. Yeah, that thing. Oh, I've had arguments about that. I don't know why I get sucked into them, but I do get sucked into it. And
Right.
whenever
I think we've put that one to bed now. So
yeah, depth of field. This is my favorite one. Yeah, I can see you laugh. Yeah,
because I know the kind of articles you've written and what response they've got.
Okay, I'm gonna say it. Full frame is the most effective format for controlling depth of field. There's no format like it when it comes to producing the shallowest depth of field and the deepest depth of field. Medium format doesn't have that. Large format is a pain in the neck to get any kind of depth of field.
Or set up.
Yeah.
Or use.
Yeah.
Or carry.
Yeah. And APS-C doesn't have wide enough aperture lenses.
In terms of pure versatility and practicality, yeah, I'm with you. Really.
Whenever I say this, everyone looks at me like I'm being some full frame fanboy or something. It's like I'm not. I shoot with APS-C.
It's the best of all worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Because it's easier to produce lenses. It's the most financially successful format.
If you've got some really fast APS-C lenses, okay.
But even then, it's not. Like a 1.2 lens to get the same field of view, you need to have a wider field, a wider focal length. And when you have a wider focal length, the lens elements are smaller. So, well, sorry, not the lens elements. The the size of the entrance pupil is smaller with a wider lens.
Yeah, I know what you meant.
Yeah, so that means that you're going to have deeper depth of field.
Yeah.
Keep coughing, man. I think I need to drink something. Everyone's listening to me.
People, I think people forget that the aperture number is a relative term as well.
But the aperture number doesn't actually technically affect anything.
No, it's not. You can get two 50mm 1/8 and they can have different depths of field at the same aperture.
Yeah.
Because of how that, it's about the difference in size or relative size between 2 points in a lens.
Yeah, because there's only two things that affect depth of field. Nothing else affects depth of field apart from these two things. And it's always linked back to these two things. And that is the size of the entrance pupil, which is basically the opening in the lens. So when you, if you get one of your lenses and you've got the aperture wide open and you just take the caps off. So without attaching it to anything, if you've got a manual lens, generally like a DSLR lens, because mirrorless lenses, they tend to shut the aperture down. But if you get one of your
lens, it's really easy, for instance.
Yeah. So if you've got the aperture wide open and it's not connected to a camera, you haven't got the caps on, and you look through the lens, you'll see straight through. And when you see straight through, you'll see the opening or the size of the opening or how big it is. That's the size of the entrance pupil. The front element isn't the size of the entrance pupil. The front element is just front element. But the size of the entrance pupil is what determines the depth of field. The bigger, the more depth, the shallower the depth of field. The smaller it is, the deeper the depth of field. So it's not it's not really the aperture.
As compared to
what?
Well, because it's relative, isn't it?
Oh yeah. So if it's bigger than X, then it's going to be shallower depth of field. If it's smaller than X, then it's a deeper depth of field. And this is the same across the board with every single format. But the thing that does seem to coincide is longer focal lengths have a larger entrance pupil. So this is why larger sensors generally produce, they don't, but generally produce a shallower depth of field at any given aperture, purely because when you're shooting with that same aperture, if you're trying to match the field, you need a longer focal length. If you've got a longer focal length, you've got a wider entrance pupil. Basically, that's what it is. But full frame. I think full frame is the best format when it comes to managing depth of field. It might not be the best format in terms of image quality, because there are other formats that are better. Medium format does produce better image quality in general. Large format
bigger photo sites. Bigger photo sites in your sensor.
To some, actually, that's been debunked. You know.
Has it?
Yeah, to some extent, that's been debunked. Photo sites don't really have, or the size of the photo site doesn't actually make that much of an impact on the overall image quality. Kinda.
When you say image quality.
Kinda.
When you say image quality, do you mean in a given light or in any light?
In given
Yes.
light, basically, yeah. We're getting into a little bit of a
Yeah.
complex one, but
Let's avoid that one for now.
yeah, it's not an exact thing.
We
but
haven't read enough articles to pretend we know what we're talking about.
basically, if you get a full frame camera sensor, same generation, and you get, if it's the same generation, and one of them has higher resolution versus the other, the higher resolution camera sensor will almost always produce better image quality, even in low light scenarios. Same generation though.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Even when you print.
Oh, right. Okay.
This,
There you go. That's a new one for me.
yeah. So cameras like the A7S3, not great for pictures if you want, really high quality images, even in low light. Great for video though, because for video, the lower resolution means less data readout and so on, and you've got less processing to do to try and get that 50 megapixel sensor down to 4 or 8. So for video, it's useful.
Yeah, well, that's why video cameras just use the number of pixels they need.
Yeah, that's why a C700 is 8.8
times as many.
Yeah. Some of them do, but they downscale, and there's some
but
some benefit
that's still
to that.
intentional.
Yeah, that's intentional.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not
Not
that.
a side effect of having a massive photography sensor,
Yeah. Yes.
which isn't even the right shape for video formats.
No, because when you get an actual dedicated cinema camera, generally speaking, the resolution is 8.8 megapixels, which is exactly the resolution you need to shoot 4K. It's not even 12 megapixels because the sensor's the right size.
Yeah.
But with full frame, you've got to have 12 in order to be able to crop in, to be able to do, yeah. But depth of field, sensors don't really affect it. And
I'm
a lot
from
of
Somerset, so my fields are really deep.
people.
I'm from Somerset, so my fields are really deep.
Please, no more. Please. Help me, Lord.
All right, love.
Oh, God.
Will
I don't even know if anyone in our audience knows.
do. Where Somerset is.
Yeah.
Neither do I half the time.
I'd be terrible in the car.
Depends how much cider I had.
How's your cigar, by the way?
It's all right.
Yeah?
I've had a few of these now. It's what I
Yeah.
expect. It's my last one, actually.
I can't tell what this is anymore. I thought it was especially selected, but I don't think it is. Royal Corona.
Well. Okay, other things?
Oh, we can't talk about cigars, huh?
We're on 48 minutes.
We gotta act like we're not smoking cigars. We just gotta hide them.
No, I'm just saying people probably aren't interested.
No.
All 5 of them.
Yeah, it's okay. The last one, we got a few more views on that one.
A few.
Yeah.
Like 7.
Yeah. It's okay. We'll build it up. We've
Like
got.
and subscribe.
Yeah. No. I'm happy with 5. I don't mind. I'm quite happy with that. I mean, still people are coming to watch us, so that's great. But yeah, so depth of field. This is something that I've beaten to death. I know, and I've done a lot of articles in it. But the misconception still remains. Medium format shooters generally hold on to this like a lot.
Right.
And whenever you talk to medium format shooters, they'll always keep going on about, the depth of field of medium format. I'm like, yeah, but there's the widest aperture medium format lenses will only manage like an f1.4 level depth of field ish. Some of them might go to like f1.2. Like I think Fuji's potentially producing the 80mm f1.7. They've been talking about producing that for a while. They still haven't produced it, as far as I know. Has it been released?
I don't know. You're the camera journalist. You're the one with special relationships with people. I just ride on your coattails when we go to trade shows.
For God's sakes. talk to one company.
And Hasselblad and Leica and
I like Hasselblad, Leica, okay.
they don't
So
always
anyway,
like you though.
No. They just tolerate me. Like, well, who does it write for? Oh, fine. Him again. But no, medium format shooters love to bring this up, depth of field and medium format. And it's like, I don't know. Because the widest aperture lens, which is potentially going to be produced for medium format, is going to be the 80mm f1.7. And that will be effectively the widest aperture lens ever produced for medium format. Previously it was, I think, the Mamiya f1.9 lens, and then Hasselblad produced their 80mm f1.9 lens. But the Mamiya was for a much larger format.
So where does the perception come from then? Is it just because old medium format lenses were generally relatively faster?
They weren't though.
Relatively, as in, okay, sorry. I'll word my sentence more specifically. Is it because the older lenses were of a higher quality such that their depth of field was generally shallower? In comparison with the
No, because you had f1.2 lenses from Nikon, remember? the 55mm f1.2.
Yeah.
Canon had an f1.2 as well.
So where does it come from?
I think it's just the idea that when you're shooting at the same aperture and you're changing the so if you shoot at f1.8 on full frame,
right, yeah.
and if you shoot at f1.8 on medium format, because you need a different focal length to accommodate the field of view, you're going to have shallower depth of field with the medium format system. So as soon as you look at that, you're like, oh yeah, medium format has better depth of field. It's like, no, because yes, you've stopped the full frame lens down to f1.8, but it can shoot wider.
Yeah.
So
you're comparing apples and oranges, really.
Yeah.
Apples and pears. Maybe,
you're basically making full frame put one arm behind its back,
yeah,
whilst giving the advantage to medium format. Don't get me wrong, I love shooting medium format.
In the 3 times I've done it.
I enjoy shooting medium format. There is something about it. I love the Hasselblad CFB camera. That's my favorite medium format camera that I've shot with in a long, long time. Phase 1 is one of the best camera systems I've shot with, easily. I don't get to shoot a lot with them because most of the time it's technical cameras and older generation backs because they're cheaper to rent. I'm not gonna spend money on, the 150 back from Phase 1. There's just no way. Even for renting, it's just not worth it because I can always just, make a panorama or use gigapixel. Really, resolution isn't that big of a deal at the moment.
No.
So I do love shooting with medium format. There are certain things, but the main benefits of medium format are color. It's color and to some extent resolution. Maybe not sharpness because it depends on what lens you're shooting, but medium format isn't generally better in things like depth of field or something like that, or even image quality to some extent, because it depends on the lenses that you're shooting with. If you're shooting with some of the best lenses on full frame, chances are medium format's not going to be able to keep up because there's more money involved in the full frame industry.
By the way, you might want to do your
what's wrong
cable.
with
You're making us look amateur.
By
the way, Patrick says he needs to photograph a cigar now.
Screenshot. I think I photographed plenty of cigars now.
Just a few.
Yeah, just a few. Well, it's become my job now, hasn't it? By the way, before I started this live stream, I was really self-conscious about wearing a turtleneck because I felt like if I sat down in this chair, it's going to look like one of those numpties.
You look a bit like minus the beard and maybe the skin colour, you look a bit like a sort of German psychiatrist.
No, they've got beards. They've got beards and little glasses. I could wear glasses. But they've got, do you know what I mean? They've got that little goatee.
I was thinking more yeah.
Yeah. They've got the little goatee, nothing there. And he says, oh yes, what do you think? So tell me about your...
I should be on a chaise longue.
Yeah. So tell me about your father. I've butchered that so badly. I don't know. That was horrible. I apologize to everyone, not just the Germans.
All of the Germans that aren't watching.
Yeah. Everyone who heard that, I apologize.
Apology accepted, maybe? I don't know.
No one should accept that apology. That was insincere. I meant none of that. But yeah, depth of field. This is something that a lot of people love talking about, and I think that people that shoot with larger formats. There's one format which is technically unrivaled, and that's 8x10. If you shoot f5.6 on 8x10, it's the equivalent of like f0.7 on full frame if you were to try and match the frame and so on. Ridiculous level of depth of field. It's just unmanageable to some extent. Beautiful results because it's very different.
Yeah.
But the problem with large format is you can't get, like, you got to shoot at what, f64 to get any reasonable depth of field if you're shooting architecture. It's just crazy how small you need to shoot in terms of the aperture, how much you need to stop down the lens in order to get any reasonable degree of depth of field. So for shallow depth of field,
and you're aiming backwards.
Yeah. I hate
it's so weird.
I hate shooting with it, but I love the results. So I would like, the way I like shooting with it, I'll just get someone else to do the shooting part. And I'll be, yeah, just point it there. I'll frame it. And then they'll set up everything, and then I'll just grab the shutter. No, I'll get the quick release. I'll get the release. Click.
So you're the gorilla that took the picture in the end.
I'm the gorilla, yeah, basically, yeah.
And then Peter comes along and tries to fight for your right.
Basically, yeah. I still own the copyright. I don't know how Peter managed to keep that in. Anyway.
Oh, Patrick also thanks you. Has just upgraded from a 5D2 to a 5DS. Thanks to your 5D4 versus 5DSR video.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for watching our videos. Appreciate it. That video took a while to produce, actually. Still early days in the YouTube era for me. I was still getting the hang of things, and I got yeah, I think it's 2017.
5D4, 5DS, yeah.
Yeah, 2017. And I got Imran involved in that one too. I sat him down and be like, okay, what do you think of these cameras? And he started telling me what he thought. Because we had a shoot in a studio, and then I was like, okay, let me get some, because he was the only studio photographer I knew at the time. Because I'm still relatively new in, well, to be fair, I'm still relatively new in the studio world, because I don't shoot a lot of studio stuff.
No. This.
Yeah, this is about as studio as we get. Yeah. I've shot some stuff in studio.
And we are obviously in a professional studio.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, obviously.
To be fair, this is, I mean, I've seen professional studios that look worse. The one in my office, for example.
No, I liked your studio in the office. It was actually pretty good.
Yeah, okay, it's quite cool.
You know, you've got like the backdrop attached to the thing, and then...
Yeah, you've also only got about 6 feet to shoot in once you've got here. So.
Yeah, but 6 feet is still enough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sometimes. It's enough. Just do headshots, you'll be fine.
If you're trying to get a group of more than one people.
Yeah, then you're screwed.
Yeah.
No. Headshots, great. Product photography, yeah, good. Anything else? But yeah, product photography, that's probably what I've been shooting most anyway inside. You know, most of the companies
I have shot products in that studio.
Have you?
Pair of shoes.
Mostly for me it's whiskey and cigars.
It's because a schoolgirl had been sent home for her choice of shoes, so we bought a pair of the shoes and took a picture of them.
Oh,
they were perfectly normal shoes.
Was that like a news? Which newspaper put that up?
I don't know.
Everyone.
Probably.
Yeah. Oh no, school teacher.
Yeah.
You know, sent the girl home. Oh god.
To be fair, they were perfectly reasonable shoes.
Were they?
For a schoolgirl to wear.
So what was the problem?
I don't know.
I swear schools just like to make things difficult for no reason.
It's always academies for some reason. Business and education. Anyway.
What other things? Do you have any thoughts on things that photographers believe, which you just look at and think, what the hell are you on about?
The brand matters. It's the one that gets me all the time. People come up and say, "Oh, do Canon make good cameras?" I'm looking at your camera. Is Canon a good one? Like,
no, may I shoot?
Aside from the fact that I'm perfectly fine with you not knowing much about something you haven't bought yet. I also get that from people who should know better.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not really about who makes the camera.
Well, kind of is.
No, it's not though.
I'll tell you why.
One camera can be better than the other.
I don't know. I think the brand loyalty is silly.
Yeah.
Brand loyalty makes no sense to me at all. I think that, I mean, I'm happy with every single camera brand, except for Fuji. I'm kidding. I'm happy with every single camera brand, and I like.
Definitely paid to say that.
I like pretty much every camera brand that's.
So diplomatic of you.
No, but I do. I really do. I like every single camera brand for slightly different reasons.
To be honest, so do I. Actually.
Yeah. I dislike every camera brand for slightly different reasons. And I think the brand matters, but brand loyalty doesn't.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Taking the band off my
All
screen.
right. So, yeah, brand loyalty, bit of a silly thing that a lot of photographers tend to do.
I think the other one is, and this is going to be a controversial one, and also a hypocritical one, but being a bit of a gearhead, buying things for the sake of having the best one.
Yeah.
I think.
Just rent. It's easier.
But also, for instance, people who mainly shoot in studios and then buy what is effectively a photojournalist camera, like the 1DX2, instead of.
Oh, don't say that. You know exactly what we're talking about. Listen, I'm sorry, man. I didn't say that. Okay, that was him. He's not watching. He doesn't care.
Well, we're up to 7 now, so maybe he is.
He's not watching. Basically, a good friend of ours.
We love you, man.
Yeah, a good friend of ours, who's who actually taught me when I first started. So when I first started, I was shadowing this photographer who had been working in the industry for quite some time, relatively successful in his field, and lots of experience. And this is someone that I joined, and I used to work with him in the studio practically every weekend. I was there every single weekend. I think he got sick of me eventually. He was like, well, don't you have anything else to do? I'm like, no, I want to learn. And
fair, I would too.
Yeah, exactly.
Never get sick of you.
Oh, yeah, okay. And he's still a great friend, and
A great photographer.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things that he does is, I love him, I really do, but freaking, I want to swear, but I'm not.
We have said this to his face.
Yeah, no, this isn't anything different. Like, we're not saying anything that I wouldn't say to him, but he will buy the flagship Canon cameras, 1DX series cameras, and lights. Lights I'm fine with,
Okay.
but he shoots landscapes, studio portraits, and that kind of thing. He has never done a single day's worth of photojournalism in his life. He's never ever shot more than 2 frames a second. Okay, and this guy will get 1DX series cameras. He's like, oh, I like the way it feels in my hand. I'm like, oh, for God's sakes.
Yeah. Which is a bit silly, but I would totally do the same thing.
If I had the money, I'd do the same thing. Actually, no, I wouldn't. I'd just go medium
Okay, I'd
format.
probably do it once and then maybe change my mind. But still,
And then get tired and be like,
but
okay.
that's exactly what he did as well. To be fair.
He has finally
Yeah.
managed to get a little
Although,
bit.
to be fair, they don't make a big double-handed version of the. Well, they do now, but when he bought it, they didn't make a double-handed R6, did they? Or R5, or whatever he said.
Yeah, now he shoots with the R6, 2 of them, and far more economical. I think they're incredible cameras. I really like the R6s and the R5s.
So the reason I bring that up is actually less of a dig at him.
Yeah,
More the fact that, so, again,
it was a dig at him though.
well,
Pretty
only
obvious.
because I hope he's watching.
Yeah.
But, I can be out, and I've said this in the last one, I think, I could be out with a line of photographers. Most of us have got, 1DXs or D4s, D6s, whatever.
Yeah.
The big flagship sort
Yeah.
of photojournalist cameras with 2 grips on them.
Yeah.
And even if people aren't like me with the D850, you've still got a battery grip on, mainly for the batteries more than anything. Sort of balances out the longer lens. Anyway, people will come up, or even not come up, people will see the cameras we're using. And I have very little doubt, because I've had people speak to me about this before, I have very little doubt that influences their decisions on what cameras they buy, or what cameras they think are the best. And I can see why. You know, bigger. It looks big and impressive, right?
Yeah.
Especially as men, we're going to compensate for something. Yeah, it looks big and impressive. It's built like a tank.
Yeah.
It will probably survive being dropped in the sea, maybe, at least briefly.
Yeah. It'll last longer than...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I get that, but
It's more than double the price
yeah,
of
and
a more effective camera.
yeah.
So if you're
Do
shooting...
your
this-
research qualitatively.
Yeah.
Sorry, quantitatively, not qualitatively. Like, do your research based on what you need, and you know, if you're into facts and figures, look at the facts and figures that are relevant to you,
Yeah.
not the ones that are relevant to someone else,
If you're shooting a
because they're not buying the camera for you.
If you're shooting in a studio, you don't need 30 frames per second.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
maybe someone might, but I
if you're
highly
shooting
doubt it.
Drop photography, or I don't know.
But even then, your lights won't be able to keep up at 30 frames per second.
Yeah.
I can't think of a single...
Well, some people. I mean, you can use strobo mode, for instance,
I guess you could use...
but that's a different story altogether. Like, there are.
Other lights that can hold up
Put it
to
this way: there are always exceptions to any of these sort of statements.
Yeah, I guess so.
That's the.
You
short
could
way of
use
saying it.
continuous lighting, but then you can't shoot that fast anyway.
This is part of the thing. Like, if you're innovative, you can find a creative use for something that shouldn't be suitable for you.
Yeah.
Great, do that. But if you're looking to spend your money wisely on 99% of the job you're going to do,
Yeah.
or shoots you're going to do, then base your decisions on what you're going to do, not.
So here's the argument, and I kind of get it, but I also don't agree with it entirely. This is something I think Tony Northrup said. We keep going back to Tony Northrup.
Hey, Tony.
I think Tony Northrup said this as well. He goes, look, I buy cameras because I will buy the best camera that I will eventually need. So I might not need it. I might not need every single feature for 99% of the time.
Sure.
But there will be occasions when I need this X feature, and this is what I buy these particular cameras for, because they will come in handy for everything, including that last 1%.
Totally.
I get that. But then I also think what you just said, which is, well, it's more effective to buy a camera which is going to be useful for the 99% of the time, and for that last 1%, adapt
Yeah.
or rent or do something. You know, you can always make adjustments. You can always change things. You can, if you
The
got enough
adaptation is part of the creative process and
Yeah.
reinforces, you know, gets
Yeah.
your brain going.
like, for example, 70% of the time, I don't need a medium format camera. I do tend to shoot relatively frequently with a medium format camera, but about 70% of the time, 5DSR. It's my bread and butter camera, right? It's my workhorse. That's the thing that I'm using regularly for most commercial shoots. 50 megapixels, more than enough. If I need more, just double the resolution, you know, whatever. You know, you can double the resolution to 100. It's not that big of a step.
Yeah.
So that is okay. There are odd occasions, relatively not that many, when I need the best image quality or something, or maybe I just need the perception of it, or maybe the budget is high enough where I need to basically look like I'm working on something, whatever. It's more about the perception. Honestly, it's more about the perception than it is about...
Some people will challenge that, but yeah.
But it does make a difference. It really does
To some
make a
clients,
difference.
anyway.
To the clients, yeah. Especially when they're
Not all
sat
of
there.
them.
Not all of them. But I know what kind of... When you have a conversation with your clients and you're talking to them, you kind of feel the vibe about it.
Yeah, but this is professional practice. Like this.
Yeah. And then on those occasions, I'll just rent.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no reason for me to spend £30,000, £50,000, or up to like £100,000 for a full-on medium format system when I'm only going to use it for like those odd contracts that I get.
But then I totally get the Tony Northrup argument. A lot of the time, maybe not 90% of the time, but maybe 50% of the time, I'm not shooting any more than 3 frames a second. You know, most.
Yeah, but 50% is a big...
Okay, but
I mean, that's
I'm making up numbers here, but sometimes, and actually a fair proportion of the time, I don't need fast shutter rates.
Mm.
And in fact, when I first started this job, I had, what was it?
D90?
In fact, my backup camera is D800. So that's what, 4 or 5?
Yeah, that's about 5 years old.
Something like that.
5, 6 years. Yeah.
4 or 5 frames a second.
Oh, yeah.
And okay, it's a bit nice. It's nice to have more, but I can make do. But again, going back to his argument, which I get, in those times where I need the extra capability of a higher end camera or a faster camera or whatever, it's very, very, very nice to have.
Precisely.
There in the moment. I can't necessarily predict those times.
I think frame rates are something you can't really adapt too much to.
Depending on the situation.
Yeah.
Because bear in mind our predecessors were using, 1 frame a second.
Yeah, but that's a terrible argument. I'll tell you what.
But still getting good.
Yeah,
shots,
but it's
just because of timing. Now, we've now adapted to change our timing based on the fact that we can shoot lots.
Yeah.
Right. So there's still timing involved. That doesn't go out of the window.
No.
But you're doing it with a different thing in mind. So oftentimes you can, if you're used to it, properly used to it, you can get away with fewer. But your creative possibilities are limited in some ways.
Yeah.
And your skill level and attention level sometimes, which, let's be honest, can't waver. Has to go up.
Speaking of skill level, this is something which I think some photographers tend to believe.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Better equipment makes you a better photographer.
Yeah. I mean, how many times has that been disproven?
In a way,
No,
I'm going to say kind of.
Better equipment, in certain respects, can help you
Yeah.
achieve the result that you want.
I have found in some scenarios where, but this is entirely down to mentality. When I'm shooting with a fancier camera, I tend to produce better results. Most of the time, because it just kind of puts me in the zone a little bit more. And I shoot slightly differently or something to that. I think it's less about the actual camera, more about the your mental framework and how you kind of perceive things, right? And I do find it's a little bit easier to produce some degree of better quality images when you're shooting with higher end equipment. I think it does make a difference.
Yeah, but I think, mentality aside, I think obviously better equipment can give you an advantage sometimes.
Yeah.
Like I could be stood, if I'm stood next to a competitor, we can be shooting exactly the same thing at, within a 30th of a second at the same time, and send pictures in exactly the same time. They could even arrive on the picture desks of the newspapers at exactly the same time. But if mine is a bit smaller and the colour isn't quite as nice, or for instance, if mine arrives a bit smaller and the colour isn't as nice, they're not going to use it.
Yeah.
Or similarly, we could shoot at the same time, send at the same time, but if mine is a bit slower to send, because it's older, uses older tech, whatever, then it's not going to make it there first, so the first one's going to win.
Yeah.
Or if mine doesn't shoot as many frames per second and they've happened to get one that was
just exactly
better.
Yeah,
the eyes were slightly more whatever, that one will get used. So if you're stood next to someone, if you're, again, it's apples to apples sort of comparisons, right? If you are shooting the same thing with a better or worse camera and comparing the two directly, the better will win.
Yeah.
But you can still take great pictures no matter what you've got.
Carl Taylor recently produced a video which I thought was really good. I didn't get a chance to watch all of it, but I got like the summary of it. It's an obvious.
So you read the headline?
No. I skimmed through it because the conclusion was, well, pretty obvious really. And it's Carl Taylor, so he's going to do a good job. But he basically demonstrated how
he takes a few good pictures, yeah.
He's such a good photographer.
I know.
He doesn't like me though.
Doesn't he? Oh.
I don't know, but I think he doesn't dislike me. He just kind of looks at me like, oh, that guy.
He's kind of annoyingly good.
Yeah, no, he's a brilliant photographer. We disagree on certain things, but yeah, there's no doubt he's a much better photographer than I am. He recently produced a video where he compared an iPhone to a Hasselblad, which when I did was a problem, by the way. Okay,
You're not bitter at all. But...
I'm not bitter about it. No, I'm kidding. When I did that, I think it was still relatively early days for the H6D series, and when I did that, some people at Hasselblad didn't like the fact that I put Hasselblad in the same conversation as a smartphone.
Yeah.
So, but I get why. And maybe I shouldn't have done that, but it was an interesting comparison to make. Because I wanted to demonstrate certain techniques and so on and so forth. But anyway, that's not the point. When Carl Taylor did it, he was demonstrating not that the iPhone is better than the Hasselblad. Obviously, that's not, even my conclusion wasn't that. But he demonstrated something really good, and that is he shot a motorbike with an iPhone, and then he shot it with the Hasselblad.
Yep.
And when you look at them on a screen, obviously not printed big, when you just look at them on a screen side by side, both images look fantastic. Utterly brilliant.
Because Carl Taylor shot them.
Yeah. Well, one, and also because of lighting.
Yeah.
He pointed out one singular fact, and that is lighting is what makes the image.
Yeah.
There's no way around that. You can't shoot something with...
To distill it even more, what you're pointing the camera at makes the image. Yeah? If it doesn't look good, then it doesn't look good.
No, exactly.
I mean, this is the old DRTV videos, wasn't it? What was it?
Pro photographer, cheapo camera. Yeah.
You know, give them a toy and see what they can do with it.
Yeah, when Philip Bloom made that awesome video.
Every single time they did really great images.
Yeah.
Okay, the quality of that often didn't stand up.
The technical quality.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the actual quality.
Sometimes that lent itself to how the image looked. And being great photographers, they lent into that, knowing that that's what they had to do. So,
and Carl Taylor demonstrated how it's not necessarily the camera. Yes, the camera makes a difference. Absolutely does. But he shot a motorbike, same lighting scenario, iPhone, Hasselblad, and the lighting made the image. You look at them side by side on a screen, and they both
Which is where we're often looking at pictures.
Yeah. I mean, how many photographers actually print?
Well, when's the last time you saw a really great printed photo?
Exactly. Actually, yeah, exactly. The last time I printed was...
You need like Instagram on a ticker tape reel.
Yeah. Even for clients, I've never ever printed... That's not true. I've printed twice for clients. I've personally printed twice for clients.
I hope everyone else could see the moment that his mind changed mid-sentence.
Because I just remembered, I was like, wait, no, that company...
I could see it before you said it.
Yeah. There's only 2 companies that I've printed for. And they needed it for whatever reason. But 9 times out of 10, the client will print themselves. They'll go off and do it themselves and whatever. And, so I don't ever need to bother with that. I mean, I could charge a little bit more if I offered that as a service, but it's just way too much hassle for me to be doing that and then sending them things and finding out, oh wait, that's not the right. It's just not something that I'm going to do. So I rarely ever see my pictures in print. Rarely, if ever. So yeah, that's a good point. I think a lot of us tend to print. I
mean, I see my pictures in print a lot.
Yeah, because
they're printed tiny, really badly.
Yeah, like
on newsprint.
6 dots aligned.
Yeah. So again, that's why press photographers don't use. Well, that's not true now, but that's why press photographers don't necessarily need to use high resolution cameras.
It does come in handy though, the resolution.
Yeah, the cropping and such.
Yeah.
In general, I can get away with far fewer pixels than.
Absolutely,
a commercial photography camera.
Like 12 megapixels would still be enough for you.
Yeah, and
comfortably.
was for a very long time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Newspapers haven't become higher resolution at all.
No. Well, printing has improved, but still.
12 megapixels still enough. Weirdly.
Well, you can still. I think. Oh, what was it? I've got a picture printed.
What's a full page spread on a newspaper? How much resolution would you need?
I don't know, 2. I don't know, not many.
Yeah. And online, 4 maximum.
Yeah. I mean, well, that's assuming it's a full page 4K image.
Yeah.
Which no one's going to put on a website anyway.
No.
So, yeah. What was it? I've got a picture printed on the front of a shop counter, and also on a big door. And what did I take that with? I didn't take it with the D800. I think I took that
D4 16 megapixels.
with the D4 16 megapixels.
Yeah.
And I scaled that correctly for the print for them.
And they just upscaled it in post when they were printing.
No, but I still had way more latitude. I could have printed way bigger.
Potentially, yeah.
I was
Viewing distance.
Yeah, I was scaling down,
Mm.
not up.
Precisely.
So
yeah, I mean, there are a bunch of things that I think a lot of photographers worry. We're coming to the last 10 minutes.
oh, we're doing
No,
an hour
we're
and a half. I
actually
thought
no,
we were
we're
20
over.
Yeah,
We're over, yeah. we're over by about 20 minutes.
yeah. We should probably wrap up.
Yeah,
I've got to go paint a piano.
You've got to paint a piano.
Yeah,
Ah.
paint on a piano, not paint a picture of a piano.
Oh, I see. But yeah, I mean, obviously none of this is meant to be taken far too seriously or anything like that, because we all believe things which is probably untrue.
Oh, we certainly do.
Yeah, definitely. I don't want to admit it though. Yeah, UV filters, lens compression, depth of field, camera gear. There's always something that I think we all kind of abide by to some extent, which may not necessarily have any real validity to it. But we still do it. Photographers, we're a superstitious bunch.
Well, a lot of the time it's easy to get led into it with what seems to be. I should probably put myself on.
Yeah, it would help.
With what seems to be legit reasoning, like the UV filter thing. As I said, I get why you would think that, because
Yeah.
it's an extra thing.
But it is
Totally.
nonsense.
But when you actually do real research, not the pseudo research that people say they've done.
But people still
People say they've done research by reading other people's articles. That's not research.
no. But
That's
the
tertiary
worst,
research.
the most annoying thing
Best.
that the most annoying thing that people do is they will find a broken lens. I mean, no, they will find a lens with a broken filter attached to it. They're like, oh yeah, my filter protected it. What? How? And I think that because people see loads of those pictures, the broken filter attached to the lens, that's what seems to grab people's
Yeah.
attention. Broken glass is, it's
Yeah.
it strikes
what
you
happened
quickly.
is the lens didn't break anyway.
Yeah, the lens wouldn't have broken
And the
even if
filter
you had
did.
nothing on there.
So what you've done is stuck a filter on the front of your lens
And
that
broke
you've
your
now got
filter.
to try and get off, because it's going to be a nightmare
Yeah.
because it's squished.
And you've also, all you did was you broke a filter. You wouldn't have damaged your lens. Maybe, misaligned it, but that would have happened regardless of whether there's a filter there or not. And you thought your filter protected it.
Yep.
That's basically it. So you've jumped to a conclusion.
And
It's like seeing a UFO and immediately calling an alien. So no, you've admitted it's an unidentified flying object.
Yeah.
But then
Because
in the
you
same
cannot
breath,
identify it.
yeah, you're calling it unidentified, but then also calling it an alien.
Yeah.
It's like, which one is it? It can't be both.
You are then identifying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we could talk about UV filters quite a lot, I think. But yeah, silly things that photographers believe. Love to know what you guys think. I'm sure there are loads of comments, because in the last video, a bunch of people came up with things or fanboyisms that, and I went through some of the comments and they were quite interesting. In the live stream as well, the comments were quite interesting for that one as well. This one, I'm sure there are things that we probably haven't covered, and some people come like, oh yeah, people believe this as well. I'm like, oh.
Mm.
But yeah, anything you want to add?
No.
Can't say our catchphrases in this one, don't we?
No.
No.
Smoke your camp. No.
No, doesn't work. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. Did we get any questions? Not a
Not
lot.
that we didn't answer.
Hmm?
Not that we didn't answer.
Oh, that's good then. Okay. Mustafa, message retracted. Okay, fair enough. What happened?
I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I guess thank you guys for watching. We're going to try and do more of these. I know at the moment we haven't got a great deal of engagement, but I'm not that bothered about it. I feel like we could build this.
Well, let's see.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. This went over a little bit.
A bit.
Yeah,
By 24 minutes and
by 24 minutes.
25 seconds.
Yeah. We'll see you guys in the next one. I think the next video that I'm doing is going to be more Instax and stuff. I've got a bunch of Instax films that we're doing, and then I've got Sigma lenses that I'm going to be doing some comparisons on as well. So
Cool.
if you're interested in that, make sure you're subscribed, and hope to see you all in the next one. Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.